What is up? And welcome on in to another show here at the Den of Nerds. It's Friday, December 20th. I can't believe it, man. Christmas right around the corner. What the hell? Crazy, man. We got a lot to go over today, of course. The world is still reeling from how bad my video was ratioed yesterday. I mean, the Superman trailer. We're going to talk about it, man. We have had some time to think about the trailer. We've had some time to examine how people are feeling about it. What's the deal out there? Do people enjoy it? What are the numbers? We're going to go over a lot of stuff to get into with regards to the Superman trailer. And so we're going to talk about that a lot today. I also wanted to touch on some comments by Jeff Steiner about Matt Reeves and the Batman and the DCU. Pretty crazy, man. Like, he implied something yesterday on the Hot Mic podcast that made me raise an eyebrow like The Rock. So we're going to get into that. Also, crazy news. Sadie Sink of Netflix's Stranger Things fame is apparently pretty close to locked as Jean Grey. Not only that, there's some crazy stuff out there about the X-Men and Secret Wars, the Mutant Saga, the Russo brothers' involvement, the possibility of an X-Men film coming in the fall of 2027. I mean, can you imagine if the MCU does a 1-2 punch in 2027, where one of the films is Avengers Secret Wars, and then the film in the fall is the Mutant Saga? My God! Pretty insane. So we're going to get into that as well. And then we got some brand new images of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk. They look pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie. And we got some comments about Harrison Ford giving it his all when it comes to ye old performance capture and all that sort of stuff. So pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. How are you guys doing, man? How was your day yesterday? There's a lot of stuff I want to get into today. You know, we got to talk about the reaction to my reaction when it comes to Superman and all that sort of stuff. So look, trust me, we got some stuff to get into today. You know what I mean? Like, we got some stuff to get into. I've got some spice. I've got some sauce. But how are you guys doing? How are you handling this holiday season? You know? You guys got any cool plans for the weekend? I suppose I should go over our plans for next week, huh? So, and I'll catch up on some chats here too before we get into the hardcore news. I believe I'm obviously going to take Christmas off, but I'm going to take the next day off as well. But I think we will stream on Friday still. So the plan next week is we'll do a show Monday, we'll do a show Tuesday. We'll wrap it up. I have no idea. Like, maybe I'll put out a video the day after Christmas or something. We'll see. But no streams that Thursday. And then we'll be back at it on Friday. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. And I think the tone of the streams next week will be a little bit more casual. Probably like looking back at some of the things that happened this year. Maybe looking forward to some things that are happening next year. But yeah, I'm gonna give myself a couple of days. You know, a couple of days to chill. And then Friday, we'll be back at it. We'll do a stream. We're also going to have a Diamond Lounge via the Discord. We will have that next Friday evening, 7:30, something like that. What about you guys? Does anybody have any cool plans for the holidays? What do you guys got going on for the holidays, man? Going to see family? Alan Bergman, exclusive interview on the state of Star Wars. Why are you trying to do this to me right away? We had some rough vibes yesterday. We're trying to get in the holiday spirit. We're trying to do better today, and you're going to throw a state of Star Wars thing at me? Brother, I know the state of Star Wars. Okay? I'm fully aware of the state of Star Wars. Thanks, though. Fam's coming to you? Oh, that's good. Well, you guys have the new baby and everything, too, so that'll be good. Family and Sonic. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'd love to go see Sonic. Sonic looks lit. By the way, the Superman trailer played in front of Mufasa and Sonic 3 yesterday. And there's shots that are not in the online trailer that were in the theatrical trailer. And they look pretty cool. They look pretty cool. Secret Santa party at work plus friends are coming over for Christmas. Oh, that seems fun. Do better, Senator. Yeah. I'm going to do better. Don't worry. We'll get into it. Sonic 3 for today. Look, Sonic 3 seems like it could be kind of a hit. Sonic 3 looks like it's doing pretty good. Oh, you took your son last night? That's awesome, Bianca. And you guys both had a good time? That's cool, man. That is cool. You didn't get the Soup trailer before Sonic yesterday? Really? Maybe it's a regional thing. Maybe it's still rolling out. I don't know. Gun Bros suck, says Kai Adams. I mean, I won't deny that. But, you know, I've got a lot to say today about the whole situation. And one of the things we're going to focus on, too, I have this in my notes here, is the bots versus the bots. I'm actually intimately aware of how the bots are operating because I have had tweets bolstered by bots on one side of this particular conflict, and then I have had a lot of dislikes and a lot of comments that I think are frankly from bots on the other side of the conflict. So the reality is this whole DC situation, I mean, at the end of the day, like, am I embroiled in this thing? To a degree, yes. But I'm going to try to be as fair as and objective as I can about this because, like, guys, I can tell you right now, like, Snyder Bros might not want to hear this, but some of the things that I've been doing on Twitter that are absolutely blowing up, there's no way that's real. Like, it's just like I love it and I think it's kind of funny and you know I'm kind of a dick, but that's not actually representative of engagement. That's getting bot boosted. And on the other hand, though, a lot of the comments on the video yesterday and a lot of the dislikes, that's not real either. So both of the sides of this conflict have implored bots, which I guess is at some point, at some level, like that's probably just the game. Famously, the Snyder movement was linked to bot activity. I think that's just fair. I don't think it's as high of a percentage to discount the movement itself or the enthusiasm of the fans. But yeah, it's like 15-20% of that stuff is completely fake. And it's probably the same degree on the other side of it with Gun too. And you just, look, you're just going to have to trust me. I am intimately involved in this. I see it for what it is. And it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. And we'll see. Yeah. You can see it if you know what you're looking for. It's definitely bot activity on both sides. But hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. That's kind of the state of things now. I gotta adjust just a little bit here. Yeah. Oh yeah, fake stuff. A lot of fake stuff out there. But again, that's just the way of the world. I mean, Twitter itself is a lot of fake engagement. Have you guys ever heard the dead internet theory? When's the last time gambling was on? Probably a long time. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to try to figure out what to do with gambling, what to do with Nerdcoin, and what to do with all of that. We'll get it on. In fact, I mean, I'm not gonna put it on right now. I'm not going to, but we will figure it out. We'll figure something out. I'm hoping that next week, you know, as I take a little bit of time, I'll be able to think more clearly about that. I mean, the honest to God truth is the gambling just ruins the chat. It ruins the discourse. You know? And I know you guys like it, and I want to find a way for it to still be a thing. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Isn't like 80% of the internet bots? A lot of the internet is not real engagement. I don't know that it's all bots, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of bots, bot farms, troll farms, a lot of stuff like that. It is what it is. I know, Spartan. I know. You want to get your fix in. Look, maybe we could do it later on in the stream. What are my thoughts on the suit? Ugh, I don't like the suit, man. I don't like the suit. Let me address a couple of the chats here, and then we'll get into the actual news and the show and everything. Javier Mendez with a 5 spot here says, good morning, everyone. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Braden says, with a 5 spot, been watching for much longer. but just hit a year with membership. This channel always brings so much sauce, even if you're a Superman hater. Much love. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Rossi with the rose. Appreciate it. Dr. Cool says wearing a Snuggie on the toilet is a game changer. Okay. Okay. All right. Nico says, had the stream on last night when wrapping gifts with my girlfriend, and the last night she was describing something she didn't like, and she used IS unprompted. Nice, man. Yeah, how about that? How about that? How about that? Okay. Appreciate it, man. That is funny. That is funny, man. Yeah. Oh, wow. Got to turn that off. There was something that happened the other day, and Elisa was asking. Oh, you know what it was? Yesterday, Elisa was asking me, like, when are you getting your hair cut again? I keep hearing you talk about it on the streams and everything like that, right? And I was like, no, I'm just leaning into the meme, babe, because they keep saying that all I do is go get my hair cut. So I'm just like leaning into it. It's kind of a unique sense of humor that we have over here, and the way we like lean into like memes and stuff like that's kind of funny. But if you're not in the community, it might seem a little strange from the outside looking in, you know what I mean? Okay. Can we do that? Say bye. Can I put gambling on over at Twitch? I don't even know. Can I? Almighty UX, appreciate the 10, brother. Says, Josh, I am a Prime member. Uh-oh. Hang on. Whoa. Aaliyah, what the hell? The Mighty UX says, I'm a Prime member. Can you post on how to join Discord in the YouTube description? Thank you for genuine reactions. The other YouTubers somehow got the invite to special screeners. Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. Somebody can get you the link in chat to the Discord for sure. Johnny, there is some truth to this Amazon Warhammer thing, but, you know, we're going to have to talk about that maybe at a later time, brother. But hit me, later on in the show with Q&A. We can talk about it. Andreas says, happy fucking Friday on my favorite family show. Much love. And happy holidays to all my nerds. Josh and the fam waiting for Athena. Nerd Vengers for life. Ranch Vengers for life. Athena should be here any day. Elisa thinks maybe this weekend. So maybe tomorrow. You know, my dad and I are going to the gym together tomorrow. We'll get into the gym and we'll start lifting, and then all of a sudden, baby will be here. And then Aaliyah with 50 gifted members? Aaliyah, what the hell? That's a lot of dough. Did you accidentally put the 0 in there? You can charge it back if you need to. Gosh dang, girl, that's a lot. That's a lot. Did you hit the lotto, or what's going on over there? I might need to adjust this back. Seems like we're getting a little, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to get the exposure right in here. Rossi gifted 5 memberships. That's not cheap either. I appreciate it, brother. Did you forget the 0 on the end of yours? Okay. Hey, that's a lot of support, man. I appreciate you guys. Let's on that note, what the hell? Jareth with 50 gifted, man. What is going on today? I thought my YouTube career was over. I thought I went too toxic on Superman. Everybody fucking hated me now. I thought I'd have to come out here and grovel. What's happening? Holy 50 gifted memberships, Jareth. God damn. Jareth, did you win a couple races? I know you've been doing pretty good. Did you win a couple races? Woo, okay, well, we're going to call the stream there, guys. We've hit our quota. I'm real tired, okay? So thank you, Jareth. Thank you, Aaliyah. Thank you, Rossi. That's going to do it for today. W's in the chat. I'll see you guys on Monday. 100 gifted members. Let's go. Yo, how mad would you guys be if I actually ended it there? You won 3 yesterday? My man. Holy. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Gosh dang, dude. Chris with 5? What is happening today? You guys are too generous, man. Honestly. I mean, damn. What'd I do to deserve all this? All I thought I did was not learn my goddamn lesson and get too emotional about shit and not make the actual kind of content that we're supposed to make over here. And all of a sudden, you guys are showering me with gifts. What the fuck? Oh, what the hell? It's just yapping session. It literally is. It is a yapping session. All of a sudden, you're right. Okay. Well, thank you all very, very much. Thank you all very, very much. What the? Oh, okay. Yeah, you got me on that one. Jay Morris, not bad. Jay Morris gifted. I mean, hey, similar effect, a lot cheaper. I see the hustle and I respect it. That's pretty good. Okay, guys. Let's get into the news. Let's get into it, man. Let's talk about this. John Hicks, I appreciate it so much. Holy, you guys are very, very sweet over here. Very sweet. Okay. And then Andreas, thank you for gifting a member, man. I appreciate it. Henny Babu or Boo Boo. Henny Boo Boo says, "Hey Josh, I've got about 70 wins on Rival. I crush as Winter Soldier and Mantis. Let's play soon." Hey, I'm looking to play tonight. Hit me up on the Discord. What movie next year are you least excited for? Don't say Superman. Superman. Okay. On that note, let's talk about Superman. Let's talk about yesterday. Let's talk about the Den of Nerds. Let's talk about Josh. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. And also, guys, I love y'all so much. The support has been ridiculous. Let me yap. Let me do some produced content for a little bit, and then let's get back into Q&A later. I don't want to miss anybody's support. I feel bad about yesterday. Mr. JB with 10 gifted. Holy! And Tobin, thank you for the 10 spot. I'm excited for the DCU because my daughter is due in May, and I'll get to share that with her like my dad shared Marvel with me. I looked up to Cavill more than Cavill's Superman, so I hope she gets to do both. Hey, man, that's very sweet. Tobin, that makes a lot of sense. I think you're going to appreciate what I have to say about the Superman trailer because, spoiler alert, I went to the comic shop last night because I needed to get out into the real world and see what real human beings were saying about this thing. As I said before, there's bots on both sides. I think DC, and I don't think this is all Gunn's fault, but DC is pretty divided. You know, I think that's probably like what is just going to happen. Like, imagine the MC was like 30-40% less successful, but some of us really, really liked it. And then all of a sudden it completely changed and went away, right? That's kind of what happened with the DCEU. There would obviously be different camps of how people felt about that. And I think regardless of toxicity, bots, and, you know, the situation with Snyder and Warner Brothers, all that, there was always going to be a contingent of the fan base that just liked the other version that didn't like what the new stuff is. That's in the most positive way that I can say it. That's what's going on, you know? So I went out into the real world, you know, and I had to talk to some people. I had to see what's actually going on. And I want to talk about that. But first, too, let me just say this. I have personally not been ratioed on a video like I was yesterday in a long time. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I mean, occasionally I step in it. I think every YouTuber does. They'll do something, say something, have a take, double down on something, and the audience doesn't like it. Unique platform, YouTube, because you get that feedback almost instantly, right? So we got shellacked yesterday on the ratio, okay? We also, if you look at the comments yesterday on the video and then yesterday on the stream, oh my God. There were, I mean, a lot, let's just say a lot of pushback. Let's say a lot of pushback. Okay. Brandon, dude, $50. If there's anything that'll get me to break a segment up and ignore it and go into the chat, it's $50 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Good luck with becoming a girl dad. Guess the Nerd Vengers are feeling the spirit of the season. We love you and greatly appreciate you distracting us from our mundane work lives. Best YouTuber out there, mate. Hey, brother, I appreciate that. That ain't cheap. That ain't cheap, and I appreciate it. Seriously, thank you guys. Very generous. So here's basically what happened, man. Let me just try to tell you, summarize it up. Did the video. We got ratioed into oblivion. The comments are brutal. The comments on the stream are brutal. you know? And so basically, guys, I have decided after looking at the popularity of the trailer, after looking at the response to the trailer video, after looking at the comments on yesterday's stream, I've decided to completely flip, and now I'm a Superman fan. So check this out. I'm selling out. I went out yesterday and I got a Superman shirt. Now it's not the one for the actual movie, but I'm gonna put it on as a sign of groveling to the mob of people. I'm gonna put on this Superman shirt now over top of my Doctor Doom shirt. Over top of my Doctor Doom shirt, mind you. Okay, so here, is this enough? Can I get back in the club? Okay, I'm all in on Superman and James Gunn now. You know, I was wrong. I can't believe that I had such a bad take. You know, obviously, just being a hater, and I was mad that it's so good. So I've totally flipped, 100%. I'm all in on Superman, baby. Let's go. Can I get back in the club? Yo, invite me to the next thing with Soups and he gets a hug from Rachel Brosnan. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. I'm flipping completely. Fuck RDJ Dr. Doom. Terrible casting. Marvel slop. I'm over it. James Gunn is the truth. Okay, so look, obviously I'm not. That was a joke. That was a joke. But at the same time, I do think it's fair when getting a response like that, and, you know, when getting ratioed into oblivion, when it's seeing all that kind of backlash online and all that, right? I think it's totally fair to, like, you know, take it into consideration and respond. So the first thing I did was, because I was like, dude, like, what is this? Like, I just can't sometimes decipher exactly what's going on the internet. So we went out into the real world. Okay? Went into the comic shop, was wearing the Superman shirt that I was wearing yesterday. And I had a really good conversation with one of the guys in there. And he opened the conversation by saying, you know, he noticed the shirt, of course. And he was like, you know, and it's like, it's such an emotional thing that he said, like, a very, very weighted, emotionally heavy question or whatever. But he basically said, oh, man, like, did you see the trailer earlier today? It made me cry. And, you know, this is another reason why, like, it's good to be in front of, like, other humans, because if this were the internet, I might have said something like, well, why don't you go cry again, you little bitch? Get the fuck out of my face, or something like that. You know what I mean? Just because, like, the urge, you know, to be toxic, I think it's a little easy. The internet, you don't see people's faces. I was looking at this man in his eyes, and he said that to me, and it softened my heart. You know? I was a little bit like the Grinch when his heart grew a couple sizes and shit. And I couldn't respond the way maybe I could to a faceless avatar on Twitter. And he said this to me, and I said, you know, because he's like, what did you think? And, like, by the way, like, how do you respond? How are you going to respond to something like that, right? Did you like it? It made me cry. And I'd be like, well, I liked that it made you cry, but I didn't really enjoy the trailer, you know? Like, what are you supposed to say? And so what I said was, you know, I'll be honest, man, I didn't really like it, but why don't you tell me more about why you liked it so much? I want to keep an open mind. Tell me more. And I kind of wanted him to just go. You know, he didn't know who I was. You know, it's not like this was that kind of a situation. In my head, I'm like, brother, I yap for a living. I don't need to yap right now. You tell me your feelings about the trailer. Okay? And man, it was cool because this sparked up, as often is the case in the comic book shop, this sparked up conversation. Other people chime in. They kind of come out of the woodwork. This, that, second, and the third. Stevie, I love you, brother. Let me just do my thing. I'll get into this in a little bit, the chat here, okay? So, you know, then all of a sudden, this guy comes over and starts talking about, this guy starts coming over and talking. We had this big, long conversation. I love that, too. You know, part of what we try to do with the community here is replicate that, because that's something I grew up with. I love the comic book shop talk. Great environment. And you've got, all kinds of different personalities represented within that group. You've got the guy that, like, every single change of status quo they're going to be annoyed with. They don't like the new costume ever. That's comic talk. And so all these people kind of came out of the woodwork, and we had this conversation about it. And I found myself being very chill and very willing to listen. And I think the main thing that I got from the people that like the trailer is that tonally for them, it really hits and it really works. And I think a lot of people out there either didn't love what Zach did tonally, or maybe aren't loving what's going on with entertainment overall tonally. And so I think the simple fact that, like, the tone of the Superman trailer is that of a guy kind of standing up against the average grumpy worldview, truly standing up for hope, maybe being disliked for it, etc. I think that tonally feels really right for Superman. And I think that's what a lot of people are really resonating with, and even yesterday, you guys got me to watch a couple of reactions. Watched Angry Joe, watched Christian Harloff, would have watched others, but Warner Brothers was actively trying to take the stream down. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother thing we'll talk about. But, it did sort of soften my stance a little bit, even seeing those guys get as emotional and get excited and have feelings. I've heard of these things called feelings. And I want to understand them, So I think that is where a lot of people are. And here's what's ironic. I kind of took a step back, right? And I tried to, like, reinvestigate, well, how do I feel about this? Why do other people feel the way that they feel? And what's the appropriate response? I think many people are so captured by the tone, and frankly, I think they consider it a bit of a referendum on what Snyder was doing. And I think that's totally fair, right? Because, I'm a massive Snyder fan and I like a lot of those movies, but even I will say, like, man, the dire, dark, there's doom and gloom and all that sort of, like, even Man of Steel, there are aspects of it that I'm not crazy about, even though I love the movie. I was just in the mindset of, like, let the man cook. Like, this is just the first movie in a whole thing. We're going to go on a journey with this character, right? But many others didn't like it. They didn't like Superman killing. They didn't like Superman's dad saying you should let people die. All these other things that are, like, almost a deconstruction of Superman. And I get that because in a lot of ways, I don't like deconstruction, right? So I have empathy for that. I also have empathy for people that in this day and age, at this time in the world, are looking for a character, a story, for art to represent a more hopeful perspective, And there's a thing in the Superman trailer. This is something that Snyder talked about yesterday on the Hot Mic podcast, which, by the way, shout out to those guys, man. Another fire episode last night. I think they're on a roll over there. But I was watching the Hot Mic podcast, and Snyder had said that there was something he heard that was going to be in the trailer or perhaps in the movie that was cut. And it's literally a line that Corn Sweat Superman says, where he says something to the effect of, like, within this world where everybody's looking at all of the negativity, to be positive and optimistic about humanity is about the most punk rock thing you can do. And man, I got to be honest, I kind of wish that was in the trailer, because that resonates with me. I actually agree, because in my real life, I am really optimistic. I think a lot of you guys that watch the streams and the videos, you understand this. I'm a pretty optimistic guy. And I do think it is punk rock these days to be optimistic. Like, that's how cynical everybody has become. That to be optimistic in the face of all of these complicated and cynical things, that is punk rock. And so there's, like, a lot of stuff that I kind of, like, align with as far as the messaging itself, right? And I've come to understand, I think, why a lot of people are resonating with this. But here's the thing. Like, I also have to be honest. And do I wish I would have been able to be a little more nuanced yesterday? Absolutely. You know, there's a thing with me. Some of you guys remember the WandaVision show. And I'll just tell this story to kind of explain, because for some of you guys that aren't necessarily super familiar, haven't followed me for a long time, this is like a thing here. It's a thing. We watched WandaVision, I think it was 8 weeks, and I praised WandaVision, and I loved WandaVision, and we made tons of videos and tons of coverage of WandaVision, and then I felt that the finale was dog water. And we did a live watch party, and my tone completely changed. The next day on the stream talking about it, my tone completely changed. I did videos about it. My tone completely changed. And it actually did rock the community, because people were here and they were supporting and they were watching and they were excited because I had been very supportive of the show and excited, etc., etc. But I have this thing where when something bugs me, like, it really fucking bugs me, bro. And I have ADHD. People with ADHD tend to get hyper fixated on things. And so when something really bothers me, I go on a loop about it. It doesn't become part of the conversation. It becomes the conversation for me. Okay? This has happened with other Marvel things. I'm basically just bringing this up because I really genuinely did not like the trailer. And I don't like the trailer mostly from a visual perspective. And I want to explain that more. But I also just want to say that, like, this is not unfamiliar territory for us. It's something I've been working on. And I'd like to believe I'm getting a little bit better at it. Because the reality is, a lot of you come to either the main channel or you come to the streams for analysis, nerdy analysis of the source material, how to tie these things together, informed speculation, accuracy of leaks and rumors and stuff like that. You're here because you're a fan. You're not necessarily here to see me shit on stuff. And I totally get that. I totally understand it. I have some ideas for some videos about DC Superman in the trailer that I think could be good and more in a line with how we normally break down content and make videos. Okay, so I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Maybe people are already over it and they don't want to hear me talk about DC at all. That's fine too. I can just exit that conversation. I'll still talk about it here on the streams. I'll still talk about it via the Clips channel, but I have to find a better way to strike the proper tone despite how my personal feelings are about the thing. Okay, so I just wanted to address that and explain that. Now, I thought a lot more, and I kind of tried to meditate on, why do I hate this trailer so much? Like, what is it about my experience with the trailer that maybe other people are not having? Okay. Star Wars Sith is like, talk about Rey. Oh, you trying to trigger me. I see. Okay. Well, so I think it really comes down to visuals. And the thing I kind of, and I was explaining this last night in the comic shop too, right? Is like, I don't like individual choices of the visuals, like Crypto, the suit itself, you know, Green Lantern, the kaiju monster. There are individual elements that I don't like. But more than that, I don't like the totality of what the visual language of the movie is telling me. So, in a sense, and this is what's crazy, is there's not a lot of dialogue in this trailer. It's just tone and basically showing you the world. And for me, it's like, full stop. I don't like the world you're showing me. And I have a lot of trouble getting past that. You know, and it's the totality of the language that the world is showing me. You know, superheroes is actually, this is actually a tough nut to crack, superheroes. And I think we've all seen superhero content that feels like bad cosplay in a high school play. Do you know what I'm saying? And then we've seen superhero content, like the one that comes to mind most for me is Winter Soldier, that feels so real, visceral, and believable that the superhero elements of it kind of fade away and it becomes genre filmmaking. Right? It's actually a really tricky thing. And I think, frankly, Marvel does not get enough credit for creating visual language that, you know, in some ways is it super predictable. Like you've got those seams on all the costumes. It seems like the villains and the heroes both go to the same tailor and shit like that. There's like some, you could call it weird in some ways, but it creates a consistent world that we can believe, that we allow our disbelief to be suspended and we just engage in the world. Now, how do we know that's successful? It's just the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. Marvel has become so big, so popular. I mean, we talk about a Marvel fall off. The only reason you're even able to talk about that is because Marvel was on the absolute top of top, right? So the visual language that a movie or a universe uses is so important. And to me, I just can't buy it with this stuff. It literally doesn't feel like a DC universe that I could like live in, that I could experience a story in. It feels like I'm watching actors. It feels like I'm watching people in costume. Like it's not doing it for me, frankly. And guys, that is really hard to get over. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, that is really hard to get over. And it's not so much a sense of like, this is accurate to the comics. That actually doesn't fucking matter at all. It's more about like the mise en scène or the verisimilitude, whatever that word is that Rob always loves to use. The world of its own creation. It has to be consistent within the world of its own creation, right? Without that, it's like really hard to enter this thing and take it seriously. You know what I mean? Ironically here, I think this is kind of interesting because you look at Zach's stuff, and I think one thing we absolutely cannot deny, even if you're a hater, I mean, maybe if you're like the most hatery hater, you maybe you can't admit this, but Zach made a visual feast and his world felt consistent. Maybe it was all, you know, desaturated and blues and grays and shit like that, but it was consistent. I believed that world. I was able to escape into that world. And I cannot, so far, find a path to that with Gunn's Superman. But I think the thing that's within Zach's whole idea of DC and the whole DC universe, DCEU, is that I think tonally he put up barriers to entry for traditional comic book fans of other comic book media. So ironically, we're seeing like an exact inverse of what Snyder did, meaning the tone and characters and themes are very palatable. I think that's why people are resonating with it the way that they are. But visually, for me, I think it lacks cohesion and a sense of style. Right? So that's kind of like when I thought more about it and I try to digest it in like a more mature way. That's where I'm at, basically. You know, because I really did have to think about it. I was like, man, why am I so like? Because I really don't like it. Like, I really don't like it. What is that? How do we make sense of that? I think that's what it is. I have a lot of trouble with the visual language of the film. The themes I'm cool with, and I think the themes are good. And it seems like the themes are out there resonating with people, and I think that's why people are into it. So that's kind of the first take, and I just kind of want to address it. I mean, I'm not really apologizing. I'm definitely not apologizing for not liking it. And I am firmly in the camp of not liking it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, let's not get it twisted. I don't like that shit. But I will at least say that the language, the performance, the way I was communicating this to you guys yesterday was not in the best interest of the channel, the brand, or even the community. And I think I allowed my hyper fixation on things that I really didn't like to basically just overshadow the rest of the conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I do apologize. But again, I definitely don't like this trailer. Now, having said that, and maybe we could stop for a second and just kind of address some of the chats and talk to the community, etc. But I want to now talk about how the trailer is actually performing. What is the actual percentage of people that are liking the trailer? Because there were all kinds of polls yesterday. I think that's maybe one of the most interesting things. How is this hitting people? So many questions about that, right? So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's stop for a second. Let's see what you guys have to say. Let's see here. Finto says 44 big ones. Merry Christmas to the Nerd Vengers. Leave poor James Gunn alone, Josh. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Overbound says it's really funny he got ratioed. Sorry, not sorry. Much love. Hey, look, it happens. I don't know that maybe there are YouTubers that never got ratioed in their lives. I'm certainly not one of them. This is not my first rodeo. Rossi says, give me my membership back because of that shirt. Hey, you don't say that. Big Stevie, appreciate the 20 spot, man. Says, welcome to the Girl Dad Club, my man. As for your reaction, I was surprised you picked it apart that much when I know you try to be fair. I know you're a big Soups fan, and I think the full trailer will be better for you. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. I mean, look, the function of the teaser trailer is to essentially show you what the world is like visually and thematically. And did I get super hung up on the visuals? Yes, but do I authentically hate the visuals? Brother, I hate them. Like, I hate them. But again, I mean, I think I just explained it in a good way. It's more like, yeah, let's do that, let's say it, let's address it, but also, like, give the people a proper coverage. Like, give them proper coverage of this thing. And proper coverage is not necessarily like me just whining about it the whole time, right? Speaking of whining, I need more likes on this video, or I'm going to start whining like a mother trucker. I know it's early. I know it's almost Christmas, and, you know, we got good viewership and good support and good numbers and all that shit, but we're going to need more goddamn likes on this video because I'm selfish and I'm greedy. Overbound says, comic book shop talk needs to be a regular thing. I think it's great. I also think it's just not something you can totally replicate. You guys just got to get out there to the comic shop, man. Comics is a great industry to try to support, but also there's great people out there. You know, great people out there. I think you need to get out there more. Oh, one more additional like. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh, there we go. There's some more. Obi says, keep going in. We love honest Josh. Yeah, well, look, for better or worse, I have no choice but to be honest. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But I also want to respect the platform. I want to respect the audience. You know what I mean? I want to respect the audience. It's not about me just whining. Let's give some constructive feedback. Let's try to bring in statistics and give analysis that I think is good. BK Rick says, what do you think of Jeff Snyder saying James wants Pattinson in the DCU Batman and Pattinson wants it as well? Yeah, so I have that on the list, brother. We will go over that in just a bit, but I appreciate the support. That story's wild, and we're going to get into it because this might be something that, ironically, a lot of you might be really upset about. And I actually think Gunn would be right to act a little authoritarian in this regard. I mean, if you really consider what's at stake, I don't think you can let Matt Reeves stand in the way of what would be good for the brand. And so if he does what he might do, I'm going to actually come out and support it, believe it or not. Comic Man says, did you see the article where Gunn said he was miserable making Superman? No, but I mean, Joss Whedon was miserable making Avengers and Age of Ultron. These movies are very taxing, brother. I don't know that means much. Nate says with a 20 spot, Merry Christmas, brother. Have to say, I watched your reaction first thing yesterday morning, and I found myself feeling same as you. Then I watched The Outlaws, and I found myself getting tingles. All opinions matter. Happy New Year. I agree with that. You know, and I saw John yesterday. You know, obviously I watched the hot mic. I saw John talking about how the reaction was split. And like, I think that's fine. I know there are others that feel the same way that I do. I know there are a lot of people that don't. I don't regret putting it out there that I don't like it. You know what I mean? I just maybe regret some of the framing and language and honestly my ADD getting hyperfixated on certain things. But at the end of the day, I don't know that there's ever been a trailer that's just been unanimously enjoyed and liked. I mean, a lot of Marvel stuff gets a lot of love, but there are a lot of people that don't like Marvel, you know, that we see them, you know, in the comments and all that, right? So this fandom is particularly divided, and that's just what it is. It's not just Josh Lucas. If it were just me, I mean, I don't know that it would be a big deal at all. I don't even know if there would be like a lot of people hating or bot commenting or whatever, right? I think it's the fact that it's not just me, and that contingent, I do think Warner Brothers worries about like the influence and the reach of that contingent. And I think they should. I don't know that they're actually doing anything properly about it. But yeah, it's good to have different opinions. You know what I mean? And it's good to get a sense of where different people are at with it. And then you guys got to make up your own mind. Star Wars Sith says, shout out to the chat. Best chat in the world. Josh, you're cool too. Hey, you don't say that. I mean, the back half was cool. Bless says, showed my fiance the trailer and she thought it was for a spoof film akin to a scary movie. She's a DC normie. I think there are plenty of people that saw that trailer and thought it was corny as hell. Like, I just think that's real. Because again, like, I just don't know that it's doing anything stylistically enough to get any, like, normies to overcome their feelings towards DC, their feelings towards Superman, right? It's like, yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Black Rampage 2, thanks for the 10 spot, brother, says, what makes Gunn's film soulless is that instead of making a good movie, he's focused on making the movie Snyder didn't. There's a dog only because Snyder didn't have one. Trunks because Snyder didn't have one, etc. So I don't know that I fully agree with you. What I would say, though, is in the spirit of agreement, I would say that Gunn has done a terrible job of truly trying to win over some of the hardcore Snyder fans. I think that basically from the outset, he viewed those people as the enemy. And I think if you look at the moves of firing basically everybody that was involved, you know, and some of the comments and the things that he has said about the people that are supporting Snyder's vision, criticizing him, asking him questions about the clarification to why he got rid of some of these actors, etc. I think Gunn has done a terrible job with that. Frankly, I don't know if there's a perfect way to solve this divided fandom. It's a little bit like Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars right now, fandom is so divided. Like it really is. And I'm not saying that like I have the solution or I know what he should have done. I will just say that from my perspective, what he did was stir the pot and make it worse. So I don't think he can really be surprised, and I don't think Warner Brothers can be surprised that there's still this large contingent of fans out there, maybe Snyder Bros, as you want to call them, for sure, that are still pretty upset and feel burnt. Maybe that was always going to be the case. I would just like to believe there was a better way forward. There was a better way to do this. Shogun Orta says, is there a new punk rock? I thought punk rock was about being cynical and tearing down the system. I think what Gunn is saying, and I've heard other people kind of make this point too, is like punk rock is basically counterculture, right? So you say it's about cynical and tearing down the system, but what if the system is about being cynical? You see what I mean? Brandon says, also showing my normie fiance the trailer and she thought it looked great. I'm sure anecdotally there are people that it worked for, but trust me, I know there are a lot of normies that didn't like this shit. But it's probably all over the place. The reaction is probably varied. Optimus Prime Rib says, for Marvel to get better, Superman needs to succeed. For Marvel to get better, Superman needs to succeed. I don't agree with that, but I do like competition. I think competition is good for the marketplace. I think competition could help Marvel. I think competition has already helped Marvel. I think, things like The Boys and Invincible succeeding in the way that they have has helped Marvel to tonally make some decisions. But I certainly don't agree that Marvel's continued success is dependent on Superman succeeding. I don't agree with that. Space Trick Serial says, no matter how powerful the ring, you can't will that bowl cut into looking good lantern. Sanguinius was cool. Give me a number of the 19 of 20 demigods. Okay. Let's go with Horus. Horus, one of the largest, most brutal of the Primarchs. Horus was first found, meaning what happens in the lore is all the Primarchs get scattered throughout the galaxy. Horus is the first one that is found, and so Horus spends the most time at the Emperor's side. And so then ultimately Horus's betrayal of the Emperor and the Horus heresy and the fact that he kills Sanguinius and wounds the Emperor, it becomes an even deeper and sadder twist because Horus was like the favorite son in a lot of ways. I mean, the Emperor makes Horus in charge of all of the Space Marine legions, which technically there weren't chapters until after the heresy. But yeah, and then the other thing that's kind of interesting about Horus, right, is that initially Horus just realizes that his father wiped out some of the Primarch's memories and that his father made a deal with the Chaos Gods. And that becomes the way by which Horus falls in league with the Chaos Gods, which becomes really interesting. So Horus, really, really interesting character. Appreciate the support. Darth, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, brother. I appreciate it. Mike says, personally, I like the trailer. I hope the movie turns out to be really good. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Abe says we must not conflate toxicity with honest opinion. Yeah, that's true, but I think we can also agree when they blend into each other, right? Conscious Evolution with a 20 spot says, I'm mixed about the trailer. I cried, but I cried because the trailer made to hit certain collective themes that many of us are feeling pressure around. The visual and style, however, very iffy. We'll see if the context helps. Yeah, I think that's fair. And also, visuals is something they have time to work on as well. You know, to be totally fair to Gunn, theme, character development, those things, they're harder to change and wash out. So if you had to get one right this early into the game, I suppose it would be the themes. I just wanted to be really blown away visually. I wanted to feel like I can get down with this world from a visual perspective. Okay, so let's talk about performance, man. Speaking of performance, this stream has been brought to you by Blue Chew. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's check this out. I want to show you something here. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so this is Luis Fernando, good Hollywood trade reporter. I'm just going to read to you here what he said, and then we'll talk about the trailer's performance. So, what Luis Fernando, Hollywood trade writer here, analysis of film overall, what he is saying is, that's it. Superman trailer is the biggest 24-hour debut for a DC trailer on a single YouTube channel since COVID, hitting 22.6 million views on DC's official YouTube channel alone, where it's the most well-received with almost 1 million likes in a day. From X, aka Twitter, 34.6 million views just from James Gunn, Warner Brothers, Superman official accounts alone. With just those 3 X accounts combined, with just DC's YouTube channel, it has hit 57.2 million in 24 hours. Biggest debut of a Warner Brothers trailer considering the same limited sample metrics. Obviously, the absolute numbers that Warner Brothers might share soon when considering views from all accounts and channels all over the world will be much higher, and very likely an all-time record for a DC release. Let's hope Warner Brothers releases their original global scan figure. One thing is for certain, the interest is there, and the hype level seems comparable to early days of the gone DCEU. Now comes the hard work. keeping the hype levels this high for 7 months and keep positive momentum for the film until pre-sales starts. I wouldn't like to be in DC Studios' marketing team's skin, but if they manage to pull this one off, it's gonna be the reason enough for a big bonus over there. Okay, so I will just put it out there kind of immediately that Mr. Fernando here is, I think, a little bit more apt to read these as very positive. I think the spin here is a little bit positive. I think the numbers that he's talking about are accurate. I guess my question is, though, is this really good? You know? And like when you see 22.6 million views on DC's official YouTube channel in 24 hours, like, is that really good? You know, we've looked at some of the viewer counts for some of the Marvel trailers. We've looked at some of the view counts for other DC trailers. And like, for instance, like this trailer thing is so confusing to me. You know, like the Flash trailers did, I think, like 21, maybe, 27 million overall, right? Like those were massive trailers, the Flash trailers when you first saw the Flash. But we all know what happened with that movie, right? So the trailer itself does not just equal a path forward for success. Obviously, the controversy that surrounded the Flash played a huge role into that. But, I mean, they had Gunn saying it was the best movie they ever saw. They had Tom Cruise saying it was the best movie they ever saw. And ultimately, fans completely rejected that movie, right? So it's kind of hard to say how this actually works. I will say that this is on par with some of the lesser popular trailers at Marvel Studios. So the last Thunderbolts trailer, which I thought was absolutely incredible, that trailer is sitting at about 17 million views from about a month ago. Now, I don't know. I mean, like, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that a Thunderbolts first look trailer, which technically followed up a Thunderbolts trailer from about a month prior, did only 5 less million views? So far, we'll see. Superman could tick up, but like then the Superman trailer. I guess the question is like, do you think Warner Brothers is actually happy looking at 22.6 million views in 24 hours on the YouTube channel? Like, do you really think they're happy about that? I don't really know, man. Like, I don't really think so. And within the analysis that I did, here's the way I would say it. I think considering all of the issues with Warner Brothers and all of the issues with DC, this maybe is the best that they could have hoped for. Like, don't get it twisted. This is better than a lot of stuff that they have done. Luis here says pre-COVID for sure. I mean, brother, we've been on a pretty bad tailspin when it comes to DC, all of those projects. Like, it's been pretty terrible, right? So without a doubt, this is good as far as a trend because it's way more coverage and exposure than DC has currently had, right? But I will also be real. You compare this to a lot of the Marvel stuff. You compare this to stuff like even Godzilla vs. Kong, Jurassic stuff. Like, brother, these ain't great numbers. Like, I'm going to be real. This thing was, I think, trending at like number 15 this morning. I mean, if this was like a big Marvel movie, it'd be at number 1 for like days, So that just shows, and I think a couple of things are happening here. I think this shows, number one, just how crazy strong the Marvel brand is. I know that some of you guys like hate it because I'm obviously a Marvel fan, and I simp for Kevin Feige and all that. But brother, like, numbers don't lie. Like, that brand has changed pop culture, and it has certainly changed how the public responds to these superhero things. Like, Marvel movies are almost their own genre. A genre that has the attention of so many normies out there. So many normies out there, right? I saw people comparing yesterday the first 24 hours of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. And of course, the 24-hour Spider-Man No Way Home stuff is way bigger than the Superman stuff by like 20, 30, 40%. But I don't know that that's a fair comparison. I mean, first of all, it's Marvel. Second of all, it's Spider-Man. Third of all, it's the rumors of 3 different franchises all coming together. So Spider-Man No Way Home is just doing stuff that this Superman movie could literally never do. This movie's not going to be able to do this. It's not going to have the support of other franchises. It's not going to have the support of brand strength and normie mass appeal in the same way that Marvel does. So the first kind of takeaway of these numbers is like, wow, Marvel's just on another level. And you should understand that. If you want to be intellectually honest, you have to understand that. They're on another level. They have done things within pop culture that have literally changed the zeitgeist. Changed the zeitgeist. The other part of this is, though, that when you take that into consideration, I do think these are good numbers for Superman. I mean, let's be real. DC has a horrible brand right now. That's part of the reason why James Gunn got the job. Shit was bad, man. Real bad. Real bad. You know what I mean? And I think considering where they are at and how normies feel about it, I think these are good numbers. I think the other thing that's interesting here is Superman himself is not the most like mass appeal character. Even within comics, a lot of people have just looked past Superman for a long time. There have been moments where Superman had incredible appeal and was doing some really interesting stuff. Most of the time on the heels of brilliant writers that were just delivering. Basically, they just dug deep and delivered stories that were so epic because they wanted the public at large to share how they felt about the character. And that stuff worked. It translated, right? But for the most part, Superman, I mean, he doesn't even sell the same as Batman. Not even close. And I don't think he's considered a cool character by a lot of just normies in pop culture. So I think, you know, the story here with the trailer performance, like, I would say this is a W for DC, but it's a W that also puts on full display why so many of their L's over the last 10 years have kind of caught up with them, and why Gunn truly does have an uphill battle if he wants this thing to even be as big as Man of Steel, frankly. Now, let's talk about how people feel about the trailer, right? Because there were all sorts of polls. You know, I did some polls. IGN did a poll. Like all kinds of polls, all kind of people gathering information yesterday. From what I have seen, just averaging out all of these results and looking at it, it's something like a 60-40 or a 65-35% split, where about 60 to 65% of the people like what they're seeing. It's probably bifurcated between like likes it and then really likes it, but ultimately those are still people on the positive side of the spectrum. I would say it's like a 60 to 65% of people over there, 35 to 40% of people not liking it. That is as accurate and as honest as I can be what I am seeing out there. Okay? So you consider the footprint, you consider the impressions, you consider how big the trailer was, and then you basically cut about 35% of that kind of out of it because, let's be real, there's a lot of normies that just aren't feeling it and probably won't go check it out in the theaters. I unfortunately do think behind closed doors, Warner Brothers is probably a little disappointed in what happened yesterday. I don't think they're going to admit it. I don't think they're going to signal it. But I do think quietly behind closed doors, they are probably slightly disappointed in the reaction and the reach for the Superman picture. That's what I think. And I think you will likely see some adjustments and some changes to try to make that problem a little bit better. They are doing some reshoots for the movie. They've had screenings. They recut this trailer a bunch to try to get it to be as good as possible. So I think you might see some changes, some adjustments, some tweaking. At the end of the day, like, yes, James Gunn has massive say in this as the co-president of the studio, the director, all of that. But I think obviously Warner Brothers knows what is at stake as well. That is why they put pressure on him to change the trailer. And I think that pressure will continue. Had this trailer come out and done, 30, 40% more views, if you saw more like a 80 to 90% approval of the trailer, they might have just let this dude cook. But my personal feelings, and this is just speculation, my personal feelings is after the data comes in, after they're really done sitting down looking at this, they might feel okay, but I think slightly disappointed. And I think they understand that there is an uphill battle to get this thing to really perform next year. You should remember that the competition this Superman movie is facing is stiff. I'm talking blue chew stiff. You've got the dinosaur movie with Scarlett Johansson kind of right before it. 2 weeks later, you've got the Fantastic Four. That's stiff competition. So we'll just see. But that's my analysis of kind of like what I saw from the viewership, how I feel the trailer performed, and how I think fans are feeling about it. Would love to open it up to conversation, man. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? 500 million tops? Ooh, that would be brutal. I think they need to at least get to 6. I think they need to get to 6, man. I knew parents that refused to show their kids the DC films because of the brutality. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that. Some of that stuff was pretty brutal. Not going to lie. Sadie Sink and Sony Turner equal the same person? Well, they're not. They're actually different people. Grace agrees with you for the most part, it seems, so don't be too hard on yourself. Well, that's kind of a funny statement. I bet people would look at that and feel like that's exactly why I should feel bad. But no, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. I feel a responsibility to try to be better with the content and be a little bit sharper, but I don't feel bad about disliking a trailer. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. I don't like it. I'm still going to try to cover it as unbiased as possible. But also, that just sucked, you know what I mean? Superman is the most popular superhero, and it's not even close. That is factually incorrect. He is not even the most popular DC character, and he damn sure is not as popular as Spider-Man. So, Matt, I love you, and it's cool to shout stuff into the void that's totally false. But the thing about doing that here is you will get called out for it. Let's see here. Kaylin, I appreciate it, brother. Says with a $20 holla. That ain't cheap. Says Gunn is inspired by Snyder. I hate how divided the fans are. I like the trailer, although it didn't blow me away. I think this is the most comic accurate Superman thus far. The tone and world building seems on point. I don't love how divided it is either, but that just is what it is. You can't act like it's not. I mean, sure, maybe you could. Maybe you could just be totally positive about it, ignore all of the stuff. That's not what I like to do, though. I like to try to approach it from the perspective of a pundit. If you had a sports team and the sports team performance over the last couple of years was really shaky, about half of the fans were no longer showing up to the game, and then you previewed your new team and it got 22 million views in 24 hours. I just think that's fair to criticize. I think it's fair to be like, I don't think this just fixed everything. Do you know what I mean? But I get it. It's not great. It's not great how divided things are. Leon says, comparing it to the Spider-Man trailer isn't what you should do. That's why I suggested The Force Awakens. Superman trailer was honestly fire. You don't want to do that Force Awakens comparison either, because The Force Awakens was like a cultural event. It was so massive, brother. Like, I don't know what the numbers were exactly, but bro, that shit popped off like nothing you've ever seen. I don't think that's a good comparison. Verse says with a 10 spot, I appreciate it, says, critiqued Gunn's Superman trailer yesterday, then spent the day feeding off anti-Snyder folks. 11 years of Man of Steel and 3 years of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Snyder's still a hot topic. Yeah, I think Snyder is absolutely still a hot topic. And I think, like, at the end of the day, right, I love the Snyder cut. It was probably a massive mistake from the studio perspective to greenlight the Snyder cut. Like, what are we doing here? Right when that stuff's, like, literally going away and you've already committed to not bringing the guy back, you're going to give him more money to make a better version of his movie? Like, from a business perspective, that is so stupid. I'm glad they did it because I love the Snyder cut. But if there was ever a time that the Snyder hype was actually dying down and going to go away, they totally fucked that up. Like, they totally fucked that up, brother. Like, so yeah, they screwed that up big time, man. And I also think just in general, like, there was always going to be, regardless of how you feel about those movies, there was always going to be a contingent of fans that had gotten on board with those, that liked it, that felt like it was being taken away from them, that were then a little bit more hesitant to give the new stuff a try. I mean, it's similar to what happened with Superman and Lois. There's a bunch of Superman and Lois fans that are super mad at James Gunn because he essentially killed their show. That's going to happen, and that's why, like, I think, you know, when it comes to Star Wars, one of the points that I've made is, like, why are you offering up all of these different versions of Star Wars and then getting mad when fans have preference with regards to the new stuff and try to, like, put it in a bucket, and if it's not in the bucket that they enjoyed, they're not going to like it? That would be like having waffles at certain McDonald's, right? And then all of a sudden people are going to be like, yo, McDonald's waffles are kind of lit. And then you're like, oh, well, actually, no, we're going to take that off the menu. We're going to go back to burgers. Well, guess what? You just made a bunch of people that before you gave them waffles were perfectly content eating McDonald's hamburgers. Now, they don't want to eat the hamburgers anymore because they like the waffles. You understand? So that's kind of what that is, in my opinion. I think Star Wars has done that poorly. I think DC has done that poorly. To a degree, Marvel has done that poorly, too. Yeah. Josh, do you think more normies that are divided? I think you're saying, like, is it more of the normie crowd that's divided? I don't know. That's hard to answer, right? We don't get to exactly see that. I think there's a lot of, like, anecdotal evidence. I think I have, like, a notion of how I feel about that, but it would just be pure speculation. I think the first thing that will note how the normies feel is how the trailer performs, like, today, tomorrow, over the weekend, and in the following weeks, right? I think the next clue will be long range box office projections. I think when the tickets go on sale, that'll be a huge projection because, like, remember, they love to tout those numbers, right? Like, they love to be like, oh, Deadpool and Wolverine made more money in pre-sales than fucking this movie over here made its whole theatrical run and stuff like that, which, by the way, was true. The pre-sales of Deadpool and Wolverine outgrossed the entire theatrical run of the Marvels, which is kind of funny. So I think that'll be a point of data. But, yeah, we just don't know, man. We just don't know. How about this? Maybe this will help us. You guys all have normies in your lives. Why don't you all, at the same time, shout into the chat what the normies in your life thought of the trailer? Maybe that's the most scientific thing we can do. Let's all shout at once. What did the normies in your life think? Some of you guys are like, bro, I don't talk to those motherfuckers. That's why I'm here. It already has more views and likes than any Brave New World trailer. Is that true? I'm not just going to believe Andre, but that is possibly true. Sure. Sure. I'm more interested in seeing Superman than any Sony or Batman movie. Loud noises, perfect. They don't even know the trailer's out, perfect. My wife liked it, perfect. They really liked it, perfect. They don't care, perfect. My wife said, another Superman, perfect. Do you guys see how scientific this is? Are you starting to understand? They said, God, another Superman. Don't care. Grandpa loved it. Grandpa hated it. Yeah, you see what I mean? This is the real answer to your question. The answer is we have no fucking idea. Okay? We have no fucking idea. All right. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit about this one's juicy, man. Let's let me get on the big screen for this. This is juicy, brother. Let's talk about some wild shit that Jeff Snyder said on the Hot Mic podcast last night with regards to the DCU, with regards to Matt Reeves, the Batman, and Superman. Oh, this stuff's juicy. So, John was asking Jeff about all of these rumors because, again, remember, this has been years in the making. This was something that Adam B. Very, Hollywood trade reporter, he reported on this 2 years ago, and James Gunn called him out and said he needed news sources and tagged him on Twitter. I think one of the most unprofessional things I've ever fucking seen from a president of anything. But the reason I really bring that up is because it sort of notes on the chart that even 2 years ago, really great Hollywood reporters were saying that Gunn wanted Matt Reeves' Batman as a part of the DCU. Fast forward to 2 years later to present time now, this has continued to be a topic of conversation, and the flames have been stoked. I mean, just in the past couple of weeks, a lot of these rumors have picked up serious steam to the point that even Grace Randolph was teasing that this could have been announced on Monday along with the press event where Gunn took all the press behind closed doors and showed them the trailer. Right? So this has been an ongoing thing. Okay, so fast forward to last night, John asking Jeff Snyder about this. Jeff was like real hesitant to say what was on his mind. He took a lot of time, was trying to figure out how he was going to say stuff. And what he ended up saying was wild as shit. Jeff basically said that he feels that Gunn wants Pattinson. He feels that Pattinson wants Gunn, and he wants to be in the DCU, but he strongly feels that Matt Reeves is the holdup. And Jeff went on to speculate that one of two things could happen here. One, they figure out a way to get Reeves involved and to do this, and I think the only way that would happen, and Jeff said this and I tend to agree, the only way that would happen is if Reeves was given some kind of creative control, like a lot of creative control. Because the holdup is Reeves did not conceive of this universe within a shared Justice League setting, certainly not within the setting of like Gunn's vision. And Reeves is fully aware because at one time Matt Reeves was going to make the Ben Affleck movie. Do you guys remember this? See, some of y'all are fair weather fans. You're not even really hardcore about this shit. But I remember several years ago, before Matt Reeves ended up spinning out and doing Pattinson, he was going to direct the Ben Affleck Batman movie. I remember there were interviews where Ben Affleck was talking about this. He addressed it in a really funny way and said, I would be a dead ape in the background of a shot for Matt Reeves. I love Matt Reeves. And at one point, they were collaborating on that. That fell by the wayside because of Warner Brothers. So then, at some point, Matt likely strikes a deal with Warner Brothers, and that deal excluded creative control from Warner Brothers because Matt did not want to have happen what had just happened with him and Ben Affleck. So Reeves comes into this entire situation fully aware of what happened with Snyder, fully aware of what happened with the DCEU, and I'm confident in saying that a stipulation by Reeves coming in to do the Batman was that he would not be tinkered with. Okay, so then comes in Gunn years later, and now it's the DCU. And I believe Adam B. Very's initial report, I believe a lot of the other scoopers and insiders, Gunn went to Matt Reeves very early on, desiring Reeves and the Batman to join the DCU. And Reeves was resistant then, seemingly is resistant now. And so I say all of that to say that if this does end up working out, you would have to give crazy amounts of control to Reeves. I think just literally contractually, considering what Reeves had, he would have to be like, okay, like, yo, James, like, I'm down, but here's the thing. I get control of every goddamn thing that's Batman, even in the other movies. Anything that gets even close to the Batman side of things, it has to go through me, etc., etc. And it is possible that that's the way it'll go and that they will figure it out, okay? But then Jeff said something even more insane. Jeff said that he thought it was possible that Gunn could go around Matt and Gunn could grab Pattinson without Matt Reeves. Jeff then went on to say that he had actually reported in the past that he wasn't sure that Matt Reeves would actually get a full trilogy, that maybe this second Batman movie is the last one. And perhaps the reason for that is because Gunn has basically told Matt, you can change what you're doing, you can kind of shore up what you're doing in 2 movies, and then you're out. I'm taking Pattinson, and I'm just doing it within the DCU. Now, this would be a pretty controversial move. This would be a pretty controversial move, right? In fact, let me know in the live chat, what do you guys think of this move, right? This would make some serious waves. It might surprise you, but I would fully support James Gunn doing it. I know it sounds crazy, but I fully support James Gunn doing this. One of the things I've been critical of Gunn about is his lack of business sense and wanting to just hire all of his friends and do right by all of the people that he likes. It's show business. It's not show friends. One of the things I like about Kevin Feige, one of the things that I often give him credit for, is that he is very gentlemanly when you see him, and he is ruthless behind the scenes. Ruthless. And that has equaled the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Imagine the balls you'd have to tell Edgar Wright to leave a project that he had been scripting and writing for 10 plus years that essentially became a lot of the groundwork for the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall. Imagine the balls you'd have to tell Edward Norton, your second movie in, to fuck off and that he doesn't know what you know, as a new producer on this new cinematic universe thing. Like, the balls that Kevin had, amazing. And I think when you have true vision and you are hyper fixated on certain outcomes, that requires you to be disagreeable. You have to be disagreeable. Disagreeability is a personality trait that is most correlated with successful people. People that are successful have the ability to be very disagreeable. And so I know this would be crazy. I know many of you guys would be super upset. I actually think this is the move. I think Gunn needs to do this. I think he needs to do everything in his power to try to court Matt over. But if that doesn't work, he needs to get him out of there, and he needs to grab up Pattinson, and he needs to just put him into the DCU. Because another thing is, like, we're talking about Superman, right? We just kind of got done talking about the numbers, the impressions, the scope of the thing. We've acknowledged that there are a lot of problems with DC as a brand overall. Well, one of the big things that DC does not have is like these big mega stars within separate franchises that then you can throw together for an Avengers or for like a World's Finest type of movie. Gunn literally has that right now, sort of. Of course, Matt Reeves is the hang-up here, but people like by the way, guys, I don't even like the Batman. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even like the Batman. I don't even like James Gunn's first Superman trailer. But I'm telling you, just as somebody that has studied pop culture the way that I have for 7+ years, this would be the move. This would create hype that could potentially match a Spider-Man No Way Home. This could create hype that could potentially match an Avengers movie that brings all of the OGs back. This would be a move that shocked, surprised, and excited audiences around the world. This is what we call gas. So I don't know that this is actually going to happen. Jeff is just reporting it, and he was kind of like, I don't know. I don't even know if he fully wanted to admit it last night. You should go watch the Hot Mic podcast and get the full context, take your own personal impression from the delivery and what Jeff was saying. But that's what he said. It's wild. If Gunn does it, I will support it. But it would be wild. It would make some headlines. It would shake things up. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's exactly what they need. What do you think? What do you think, chat? Yes, no? I can handle it. I can't handle it. I agree. I disagree. What do you think? He should do it. Obi-Wan First Avenger, thank you for the 5 spot. You forgot to type a message in there, though. You can just type it into the chat. I'll try to catch it. Gunn is just going to be hated even more. That announcement would be met with a lot of dislike. And yet, I still think people would show up to see the movie. And yet, I still think the news would travel, and I still think people would be generally excited. Kaylin J says, F Matt Reeves and throw Pattinson in the Superman post-credit scene. I gotta be honest with you guys. I kind of like the idea of Pattinson getting away from the Reeves stuff. Like, I can accept that this is like first year, second year Batman and he's learning and all that sort of stuff. But like, brother, I would like to get past that. I'd like to get into the future. I'd like to get to a point of like the Bat God, of the detective, right? Like Ra's al Ghul having this crazy respect and support of this kind of guy. Like, let's get out of the emo, I'm having a mental health crisis kind of a thing, and let's get more into Batman. Guys, I think Gunn and some of the talent that he could assemble around that would actually be able to do that. I think Pattinson could truly thrive away from Matt Reeves' stuff. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? But I could see it. Do you think Gunn will do a Flash movie anytime soon? Says Obi-Wan First Adventure. I don't think so, especially with how poorly the last Flash movie did. I don't think so. I don't hate it, but I don't think Gunn needs the controversy. I think Gunn will have controversy regardless. I think that's not going to wash out, but I think what he needs is hype. You know what I mean? I think that's what he needs is hype. Hype's kind of hard to come by. Sometimes hype happens a little organically out there, and then it's kind of up to you whether or not to grab it up. An example of that is Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner, through his snowmobile accident and his acts of being a true hero, a lot of hype around that dude. Bringing him back, having him attached to the new Avengers movies, maybe doing Hawkeye Season 2 with him. That's how you take organic hype and spin it out into commercial viability. Right? Flash was the best movie ever created. Oh, okay. Or Reeves into a starter pack, Joss Whedon. And Joss is very unbecoming in hindsight, but still a great leader. You work with what's given and what's successful. Gunn goes against the grain to his own. Interesting. It's hard to replace Robert Pattinson as Batman. He's perfect size for him, and they aren't a lot of actors like him out there. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I guess the way I would say it is it would be hard to replace him because he is so well established right now. And that movie did pretty decently. And I think Penguin did decent enough. So, like, it would be weird to just do another Batman. I think that's really what we're saying, right? It's like, it would be super weird to just do another Batman. Like, is that really the move? You guys really telling me that doing a different Batman is really the move? And then if that's not the move, and the only person standing in the way of this deal is Matt Reeves, do you really think letting Matt Reeves have his way is worth sacrificing the opportunity to bring them together? Like, do you see what I'm saying? I just don't know. I think Gunn, especially if he really wants this job, if he really wants to do this, Jeff said something interesting last night. He said, I think Gunn wants to be the first person to really successfully bring Batman and Superman together. Because, like, let's be real, BVS was a letdown. Justice League, theatrically, it was even worse. So I think it would be fair that if Gunn was able to do this on the big screen and have it actually work, crack $1 billion, and people to be excited, he would forever have that accolade. Or Kool-Aid, whatever it's called. He would have that. So that'd be cool. Pattinson only weighs 165. It's 230 with all the junk strapped into him. Yeah, that's true. And I also think Gunn could get that guy under a barbell. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that he has to. Like, that's like a whole different thing. But yeah, he's got to put some signs on. Come on, man. Check your Discord DM and tell the chat how the image makes you feel. Embracing the cringe is crazy. Nerd Vengers for life. I appreciate you, Cool Bear. I'm not going to do that right now. I will do that later. If you can remind me later, I will do that. Damn your logic. I think you're right. Hey, there it is. Yeah, I agree, Josh. And you can't have Batman without Superman, vice versa, if that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think kind of what we're seeing is there's a group of people that are going to be just a little dissatisfied with a lot of little things regarding this situation. But I also think you kind of can't deny that bringing them together would create so much buzz and hype and excitement that I think a lot of the little gripes people would have would be completely overshadowed. Because it's not to say that some of your complaints aren't valid or some of the little things we're pointing out here aren't true, but I would just still have to point to how big this could end up being. You know what I mean? Like, I still think you just have to point to that reality and understand that that's hype that is very hard to come by. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. We will continue to cover this because it's crazy as hell. And I'm super excited to see where it all goes. Sounds like you in the Superman trailer. I'm not sure what you mean. Somehow, I don't think I like it. If that happens, it needs to be announced sooner rather than in 2 years. I agree with that. We'll see. I think it might be announced sooner than you think. Pattinson is garbage, Josh. LOL couldn't even outgross BVS. Pattinson is trash. Worst Batman ever. Yeah, so you'll have some people that don't like this. You know what I mean? Like, obviously. Cut Guy Gardner. Yeah, I don't like Guy Gardner in the thing. Okay, let's move on to some other stuff here. Let's move on to some other stuff here. Let me see if I can pull up something about this X-Men news because it's so crazy, brother. It's so crazy. Jeff breaking serious news once again. Crazy stuff here. Okay. So this one's pretty wild. I think just the news itself is wild, but the implications are insane. Insane. And so I'm going to do a big, better produced video, an edited video talking about like the overall things that a lot of this X-Men news means for the X-Men plan, because it's pretty crazy. But let's just talk for now about the actual news itself, and let's kind of see how we feel about it. So Jeff Snyder broke some pretty crazy news last night from one of his oldest and best sources. Sadie Sink is reportedly Marvel's frontrunner to play Jean Grey in the MCU. Now, I want to give a little context here. This means that they're casting X-Men right now. Okay, and one of the things Jeff brought up last night, which I thought was really interesting, was he was like, well, what are they casting this thing for? This would imply a couple of things. It would imply that the movie, X-Men, is shooting sooner than maybe we thought. In fact, Jeff speculated it could be shooting early 2026 to get ready for a late 2027 release, which is interesting. There's not a director attached to this thing, but we know Marvel was courting writers for this over a year ago. And there have been some leaks and rumors that have come out about what their take's going to be, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so it means, number one, X-Men happening real quick. Number two, it's possible that she is being cast by the Russo brothers for the Avengers, or rather for the Avengers movies, meaning mostly Secret Wars. Now, that's a whole thing. Again, I want to get more spoilery and talk about some of the other things that we've heard in the video. That should drop over the weekend for you guys. It's going to be juicy. But let's just talk about the news itself a little bit more here, okay? So, Sadie Sink. I think young actress. I think a good actress. Obviously, a big name because of Stranger Things. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did her character die? I don't think she dies in Stranger Things, right? So I think we'll see more of her in this last season. I actually got to rewatch Stranger Things. It's been so long since I watched the last season, I can't remember if she's dead or not. But assuming she's not dead, she'll probably have a big pop in popularity when the second season of Stranger Things comes out, which should be relatively soon. Big deal. Big name actress. I think she's right for the role. I know some people don't love it. I actually think she's good. She's obviously a younger Jean, but I think she's good. It's also, like, if you think about the comics, when Jean is first brought on by the Professor, she's pretty young. In fact, she was originally known as Marvel Girl. In the same way that the Invisible Girl was the first way that Sue Storm was known until she became the Invisible Woman. So Jean Grey, the Marvel Girl, with her old Marvel Girl costume, I think a much younger actress kind of works for that. And I also think that this probably is a good move for longevity. Meaning, similar to the Infinity Saga, the Mutant Saga is probably going to go for a good bit, and they're going to want consistency with those characters. So the actors and the actresses that they're approaching for the different X-Men roles are long commitments. And I do think Sadie, being so connected to that Netflix show for so long, is seemingly comfortable with being locked into sort of long-term arrangements, right? So I think it makes sense from the business perspective for a number of different reasons. I really like the Jean Grey character. And it's curious with getting an actress like Sadie Sink, because I think she's young. I think she's going to mature a lot over the next couple of years. And I think her connections to some of the weird stuff that happened in Stranger Things could open up some interesting visual possibilities. Jean's really cool, but I mean, I think the thing we're all really thinking about here is Dark Phoenix. Are they going to do Dark Phoenix again? How are they going to handle that? I mean, we've had 2 botched versions of Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is one of the coolest comic book stories ever. It's going to be interesting to know if Kevin Feige is going to do that again. And if he does, I think Sadie's like a brilliant person to do that with, because I think she can play dark. And I think that darkness would be really well juxtaposed against the more softer, sweeter side. I mean, most of the time when we see her in Stranger Things, she's like innocent, has sort of a softer demeanor. But then, like, there's some creepiness, too, when she, like, floats in the air and her eyelids peel back and stuff like that. It gets a little weird. So I think from that perspective, it's really brilliant casting, too. She can play subdued, gentle Jean and then show us shades of darkness that would be really interesting. I think she's got the chops for that. Now, there's a couple of things that are curious about this. Because, again, number one, it does seem like, according to Jeff, right, that the Russo brothers are likely involved in this. Wouldn't be the first time that Marvel and the Russos are casting a character which will first show up in something outside of their own franchise. The most famous example is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is cast by Marvel, and the Russos had a part in it, for Civil War. He then goes on to become like the star of his own franchise and become a major player in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this would not be the first time that Marvel Studios would cast for a future franchise and put it in an ensemble piece before that happens. So let's just consider that maybe this is for Avengers Secret Wars. Interestingly, this lines up with some comments that Kevin has recently made where he said, I think you'll see the story of Secret Wars setting up something really interesting for the mutants after that. So with those comments in mind from Kevin, it really does seem like you might get some of the new and some of the old X-Men for Secret Wars. And a lot of those choices will probably carry over into the soft reboot with the Mutant Saga. What I personally think this means is that X-Men universe that we see at the end of the Marvels, which we've only seen Binary, Beast, and we've made mention of Charles Xavier. We don't even know what the Charles Xavier looks like in that universe. We all assume it's Patrick Stewart, but we don't really know. I'm kind of thinking this is the Jean of that universe. There's also crazy rumors that, like, there's a Hulk, Wolverine, X-Men, Avengers movie going into production. It's going to film at the end of next year. Is she involved in that? I'm not really sure, but I think overall, really good casting pick here, too. There's one other gripe that I have this, and I think it throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into this situation. And that has to do with Wolverine. Okay, so let's just get this out there on Front Street. The age gap between Sadie Sink and Hugh Jackman is crazy. And there are long-standing rumors that Hugh Jackman is the Wolverine. He is still going to be Wolverine after the soft reboot. Now, I guess with that kind of comes a question of like, okay, so he's maybe the new Wolverine, but is there another Wolverine? Like, is he going to remain and then there's like a new one? I don't know about that. Is it possible that audiences would not actually have an issue with this? Because Wolverine is in love with Jean Grey. I mean, there's that moment in X-Men 97 where Jean has like trouble connecting back to her own memories, and Logan asks Jean to read his mind. And she says something like, "You think and feel all that about me?" And he says something like, "All that and more." It's really emotional scene. It's like powerful. It's a great way to like take that relationship in the comics and like put it on display in a really, really emotional way in X-Men 97. But here's the thing. I say all of this about the age gap, right? And I'm like, it feels a little problematic. But here's the other thing. In comics, their age gap is actually way crazier. Logan is hundreds of years old. Hundreds of years old when he meets Jean Grey. And she's like 20, maybe younger. And he falls in love. So their actual age gap is like 100 plus years. The age gap of the actors is only like, I don't know, 50 or something like that, right? It'll be kind of wild. So yesterday when they were talking about this, you know, Jeff had kind of said he maybe thought there would be a new Wolverine cast. Rocha said he thought that wasn't going to be the case. I think I'm kind of more in agreement with Rocha. Like from what I've heard, that's not going to be a thing. But I guess it could be Henry Cavill. It could be somebody else. Like they could get a Wolverine. But at the end of the day, I don't know that they're going to cast Wolverine young enough for this issue to go away completely. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Wolverine is not a young guy, and he doesn't look young. So, like, I don't know how you even cast a new Wolverine and not have this particular issue. And then it's like, okay, is this something that Marvel's going to just try to keep away from? Like, is this something Marvel's just going to be like, well, maybe our Wolverine doesn't love Jean? Well, I don't know. I don't like that either. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't like that shit either. Now, one last note on this before we kind of break into the chat and see what you guys think about this. We don't know this for sure, but this is kind of my speculation here. For this to be leaking out as maybe one of the first of the new X-Men would imply to me that Jean is very important, either to the story of Secret Wars, which could completely be the case, because the White Hot Room, the M'Kraan Crystal, these are technically gateways to the multiverse. I've been fascinated to know how the Phoenix Force would actually be involved in Secret Wars, because it is involved in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. This implies that Jean is super important. Super important to potentially Secret Wars and to potentially the story that Kevin wants to tell with the X-Men after the soft reboot. Otherwise, I think we'd be hearing about the other casting choices, right? Could they do a thing like they've done in the comics where there's young Jean and old Jean? Because this happened at one time. There was a moment in the comics where some of the young versions of the X-Men come out of the time stream and are brought in to the present day, and they are interacting with older versions of themselves. That could be what's going on. But either way, this implies that this is very important to what Kevin Feige is cooking with regards to the X-Men and all of that. So, look, I think this is great casting. I'm really excited. I have some questions. I have a few concerns. But overall, I think this is great casting. So, exciting news. Sadie Sink, the front runner to play Jean Grey. What do you make of this, chat? What do you think? Is this a good move? Is this a bad move? Are you excited? Are you upset? Let me know. Nah, Storm for the win. Well, if Storm was more important to the story, I think we'd be hearing about it. Good casting? I agree. Hella pumped for the Mutant Saga. Me too, man. The possibility of 2027 being bookend by Avengers Secret Wars and the new MCU X-Men. I mean, holy shit. Talk about hype. God damn. Femke is the only Jean for me. She's a good one. I hope to see her still. Josh, you heard Jeff say Denzel for Magneto or Charles, probably, possibly. I have not heard that. I'll look at the newsletter later, but I have not heard that. They better get Taryn. You think so? Sassy Phoenix incoming? You view Sadie Sink as sassy? I don't know if I do. I think they're shooting to bring in Taron Egerton as Wolverine, especially after people seemed to like the casting rumor a while back. Age gap would be smaller. That's true, but I don't necessarily love him as Wolverine. We'd have to see. We'd have to see how that went. He mentioned it during the hot mic. I must have missed that part because I do not remember him saying that. I mean, those are rumors dating a long ago, and we've talked about them before. I'm actually down. I don't normally love race bending. I just think it's kind of lazy and usually done kind of like just super lazily, right? But, of course, there are moments where it can actually work and be really good. I think House of the Dragon's a great example. Michael Clark Duncan is Kingpin. Like, sometimes it just works. And I think there are... Like, because here's the thing, right? Like, race is only one quality of a person. Oftentimes, the least fucking interesting thing about a person is their race, to be honest with you. It's more about, like, who are they? What do they represent? What kind of energy do they give off? What kind of performances do they put in? You know what I mean? How do they approach these sort of things? It's not because Denzel is black that I think he could play Magneto. It's because Denzel is a man's man. Denzel can bring a fierceness that I think matches up with Magneto. It's actually the opposite of thinking that he could play it because he is black. He just happens to be black and also embodies all the qualities that I think could work for the character. There's potentially an interesting angle with connecting a black Magneto to either black Jews or to a different kind of persecution than the Holocaust survivor thing. So that's kind of an interesting angle as well. But most of the time with this stuff, it's usually just pretty lazy. You know what I mean? He's 70. I'm black and I prefer my Magneto white. Yeah, but it's not because they're white, right? So, like, that's the thing, Kaylin. Like, I hear what you're saying, but even that's not, I don't think is technically true because you're not going to cast any random white dude as Magneto. Maybe it would be a little bit of an easier suspension of disbelief because you've been reading Magneto as a white character for so many years. Maybe I could get down with that. But it's not the whiteness of a person that makes them Magneto, right? Like, I'm trying to think, like, Tom Holland couldn't be Magneto. He's too twinky. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to say that, like, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. That's all. Ross says, member for 47 months. Appreciate you, brother. Says, sending blessings to you and Elisa on incoming baby girl. I got a new normie lady in my life that wants to watch Star Wars for her first time. OT first, PT? Whew, that is a question for the ages. Let's go to the polls on this. Let's help Ross out here because we want him to make a good call. We want him to win some points with the ladies. Let's go to the polls. What should Ross show his lady first? Original trilogy? Prequel trilogy? The Nerd Vengers are going to help you out with this one, bro. Ooh, that's a good question. How old is she? Well, I guess she's not like super young, right? She'd have to say probably like middle age, Ross. She's 39. Okay. Yeah. Good question. Seems like OT's kind of crushing it on this one. Steve McT says, love triangle with Laura instead of Logan. Fixed? What the hell? No. That's like his daughter. Hell nah. Let's not get weird with it. Rossi says, hey man, Brutal the Bear isn't Cool Bear. Cool Bear is the Shin Stalker. Oh, Brutal the Bear and Cool Bear are different? Oh man, I'm sorry. All right, let me check the Discord, though. Somebody's trying to trigger me earlier. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, you guys got a lot of wild pictures on here, man. Yeah, I mean, look, the trailer's very memeable, for sure. I would agree with that. Very memeable. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Cool. Cool. Six the Truth said, Josh, just dropping in to say you're the GOAT. Thank you, brother. I'm trying, man. I know I can do better, though. I know I can do better. Second, Josh, what do you think the post-Secret Wars MCU being more comic accurate? I actually would be down with that, brother. First of all, it's great casting. Yeah, I appreciate the love, man. I get what you're saying, dude. I think it should be more comic accurate. The only thing that's maybe potentially tying that up, right, is they also, from what I've heard, they want all the canon or most of the canon to still matter from the Infinity Saga. But I don't know. I keep hearing like back and forth on that. Maybe that's the biggest question and the problem that they have behind the scenes. So I don't really know. Oh, you meant Laura, Jean, and Scott? I still don't love it. I don't know, man. You know what's so weird? Sometimes life is weird. I can like completely acknowledge that Daphne Keane is now a young woman and she actually like looks great. But there's just something weird about it where like I saw Logan so many times and I just see her as so young that I still can't. I don't know. I still feel like I have to treat her like a child almost. I don't know. It's weird. Do y'all ever have that? Where like you can't, like I don't want to ship X-23 with anybody. I want her to go play with dolls and be a kid. Even if she's 40. I don't know. I'm just up here yapping. Who knows? What if Superman Legacy is a bigger joke than Kraven? Oh, then it's Jover. Oh, here it is. The superpowers? Oh, no. What's that guy say, too? What's that guy's name? Where he's like, let me show you what I can do. It's time. From Mad TV? I forget the name of the character, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. You'll be the same with Athena, so... You're 41, Rossi? No way. No way. I thought you were late 20s at most. Her Instagram pics got that out of the way for sure. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to try to be chill, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably be pretty protective of my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Stuart. That's his name, yeah. Magneto is Polish. That stands. Yeah, he is. He's a Polish Jew. I'm 48. Well, how do you feel, though? Brennan, you feel all right? I'm 19. She bad. Well, there you go. Kalen, appreciate you, brother. Says if Gunn announces Pattinson in the DCU will help sell Superman tickets. I totally agree, especially if there's a post-credit scene with Batman in it. And I know, like, Gunn's like, I don't want to set anything up. I don't want to do all this stuff. Brother, this dude just yaps, dude. This dude yaps more than me. At least it's my job. He's supposed to be making movies. God damn. Oh, you feel old? Let's watch the Kraven pitch meeting. Let's do it. We'll finish up the show by watching the Kraven pitch meeting. Any other questions, comments about Sadie? He's one of my favorites. Stuart. Oh, yeah? I'm 33. She bad. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Is that something he says? Let me do it. Let me do it. Oh, man. You guys are a riot, man. You guys are a riot. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love and the support. You guys have been super generous, man. Thank you. Okay, should we watch the Kraven the Hunter pitch meeting and then let's get on out of here, boys and girls? It's been a big week, man. Look, you got to give Gunn credit for this at the very least. Superman was the topic all week. Go back and look at my thumbnails on the streams. Brother, it's been all about Superman. Superman this, Superman that, Superman sucks, Superman this. I overreacted about Superman, you know, blah, 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 blah. Let's be real. That is what they needed. I think they maybe could have used a little bit higher numbers on the trailer and all that, but like, come on, man. This is still pretty good. You know what? That's true, too. Let's go over briefly the Red Hulk images, man, because I think this shit looks fire, bro. I mean, they've been shooting this thing for 16 years, and they've done 32 rounds of reshoots, so you figure it should look good by now. But, dude, look at these pictures of the Red Hulk, bro. I'm trying to get this I got to get into the gym. This dude's making me feel like a pussy. Holy. I can't believe how good the Red Hulk looks. Now, another thing on this, just really briefly, too, is Harrison Ford has been talking about potentially doing more with the character. So, I don't want to give the spoilers away, but maybe at one time, he was going to die in the movie. And then maybe at one time, during the 16 rounds of reshoots, they decided he shouldn't die in the movie. Supposedly, allegedly, maybe. So, yeah, man. Fucking Red Hulk. He looks good. I think it would be a total waste to just kill him off in the movie and not have him show up again. I say put him on the Thunderbolts. Let him try to beat some Ayas, man. What do you guys think? Doesn't he look good? Is Mark Ruffalo going to be in it? I don't know. I'm hearing real back and forth on that. A lot of people are saying that Mark Ruffalo is not in Captain America Brave New World. Very reliable people are saying that. I still think he could be, though. But it would have to be like a big secret they were keeping. Look at this dude, man. Holy. Bro, I'm going to say something a little fucked up. I've never done anything like this before. You know, I've never danced on this line. I'm not one for controversy, but I'm going to say something a little fucked up here, okay? A bunch of ladies are going to go to the theater to see this dude. I'm dead ass, man. They found a way to tap into the sex appeal of young Harrison Ford and connect it to, let's be honest, what has become a generation of female gooners. They figured it out. I'm just going to be honest. They're going for this. Yeah, I know. I can't believe it. I stepped in it again. Probably get ratioed again. This is going to work. He's 82, and yet look at how veiny. I'm just telling you what it is, man. I'm just telling you what it is. This shit's gonna work. Okay. So now that we've dipped our toe in that water. Yeah, look at the girth. Holy. Okay, now that we've dipped our toe in that water, let's watch this pitch meeting and let's get out here and let's have a goddamn great weekend, huh? Night them boys? Night who? What the fuck is this? Bro. Something just happened that I've never seen before on YouTube, and I'm a little nervous to even talk about it. But if you are a Brave browser user, it might be Jover. We might have to watch YouTube ads again. Or get premium. Holy. Okay, so anyways, Rossi says, female gooners where? Send them my way, the Chaos Realm. Jesus. Okay, let's watch this. Here we go. Ready? MCU Drew says, with the tone of Gunn's Superman trailer and the tone of Pattinson's film, you really think those two can coincide? I do. Batman and Superman have strictly different tones. That's why World's Finest is so fun. It's fun to see them together. Will says of the 5 spot, says, Josh, what's the top comic storylines I should read to get into Batman and Spider-Man? Thanks. Still waiting for the Lupe deep dive. Hey, I appreciate it. Batman, I like Year One. I mean, I like Dark Knight Returns, but that's like the flip side of that. I like The Killing Joke. I think Long Halloween is a really good one. Court of Owls is really good. There's a few there. As far as Spider-Man is concerned, I like Spider-Man Blue by Jeff Loeb. That's probably a pretty good one to start with. I actually like Ultimate Spider-Man a lot. So, like, if you don't want to go all the way back and read all the, like, Steve Ditko, Stan Lee stuff from back in the day, if you read the Sarah Pichelli and Brian Michael Bendis Ultimates Spider-Man, that was huge and pretty cool. So I'd read that. Kraven's Last Hunt is great. The Clone Saga is so fucking ridiculous, but I almost feel like it's a rite of passage. And then maybe some Spider-Verse stuff. That's probably what I would say. All right, ready?
So, you have a non-Spider-Man movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. I was thinking we'd make one about Kraven the Hunter. And what's the ever-so-slight Spider-Man connection in this one? He will see some spiders in a hallucination once. Nailed it! So we're gonna meet this guy, Sergei Kravinoff, right? Right. And he's this badass vigilante killer guy who's known as Kraven the Hunter, but nobody can figure out who he is. Well, he just shortened his actual name. Nobody can figure out who this guy is. Anyway, we're gonna see him kill an arms dealer in a prison, escape from the prison, and get away on an airplane. Who's flying the plane? Hey, shut up. So then it's flashback time to when he was younger. Oh, I guess it'll be cool to see a glimpse of that. For 30 minutes of screen time. Oh, my God. So he and his brother were raised by their criminal dad, who takes them hunting, and Kraven gets freaking mauled fatally by a lion. Oh, man, it's gonna be tough to survive a fatal lion attack. Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, because see, before that happens, there's gonna be a scene with this girl, Calypso, who's talking with her grandmother, who can, like, see the future or whatever. Whoa. Okay, and her grandmother is like, this tarot card of a lion means you're going to save someone from an accident with this potion I'm giving you now, and it's going to heal them in unexpected ways. That's going to happen soon. Whoa. And so is that exactly what then happens? And so that's exactly what then happens. Grandmas who nail it are tight. Okay, and so then Kraven is healed and he gets really cool powers. Oh, what are his powers? Well, he can be strong and he can jump and he can do, sometimes his eyes go yellow and he can zoom in on things with his eyes when he wants to, and he can do jumps, and his muscles are big, and he does tracking. Sick! Oh, cool, that's so many things. So he abandons his brother with the dad and grows up to be Kraven the Hunter, and he fights bad guys and fights for animal rights. Isn't this guy a villain in the comics? Yeah, but, how am I supposed to...
Dude! I can't fucking believe that they still did the animal rights activist thing. Remember when we broke that? We broke that news like 2 years ago. Remember? Kraven, the animal rights activist, and I lost my fucking mind. Sony, I cannot believe you still did that shit. Holy.
To make a movie where a villain is the hero, why are we even making these? Yeah, I don't know. We'll stop soon. So anyway, every year Kraven goes to visit his brother in London for his birthday, but this year his brother gets kidnapped. A terrible birthday surprise! Yeah, it turns out this frickin' bad guy grabbed him. And who's this bad guy? Ah, well, he's the Rhino, and 16 years earlier, Kraven's dad was kinda mean to him, so he went to see a doctor who made him strong, and now he could turn into a Rhino man. I have no further questions. I have no further answers. So then Kraven's dad refuses to pay the ransom, so Kraven decides to track down Calypso.
God.
Why? To frickin' help him track down and hunt the bad guys. Isn't he the best tracker? Yeah, and he says he's been trying to track down Calypso for years, and he finally found her. How did he finally do it? By being the best hunter and tracker in the world. No one can do it like this guy. So why does he need her help? To track down these bad guys. All right. So she explains how she saved his life with the potion from her grandma back in the day. Right. And how her grandma died shortly after that trip, and she never saw her again. Both those things? Yes, and eventually this other bad guy called the Foreigner is gonna join the party too, because he also wants Kraven dead. Oh yeah? How come? Bad guy reasons. Oh my god. So Kraven and Calypso go to this African sanctuary where Kraven lives, and out of nowhere this big cat pounces on him and they fight. Oh no, Jungle Cat! But it turns out they're like friends, so it was kind of play fighting. All right, good. So then inside the sanctuary, Kraven tells Calypso that he's the best hunter in the world. No one could take him on. A cat just snuck up on him. Yeah, but other than that jungle cat just now, nobody can do it. Oh, okay. So then the Foreigner shows up and uses his time-freezing hypnosis powers to inject Kraven with a deadly toxin. Well, but then Calypso frickin' shoots this guy in the eye with an arrow. Oh, is she an archer? She is. She mentioned that skill of hers in the very previous scene and then delivered on it immediately. Hey, what's the minimum amount of time for something to count as foreshadowing? Unclear. So then she uses another potion to revive Kraven, and he's back in business. Oh man, this guy really is unstoppable as long as nobody sneaks up on him or has powers and that there's some magic potion available. Yeah, and so now the Rhino's gonna take matters into his own hand. Paws? His paws? Hooves. He's gonna take matters into his own hooves. Is he gonna look cool and badass as the Rhino? So then he and Kraven get in a big fight. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Wow. And Kraven's trying to frickin' stab this guy, but his rhino skin is impenetrable. So what does he do? He penetrates his rhino skin and stabs him. Oh, good. And then he makes a herd of buffalo trample him. And that hurts despite the super strong skin? Yes, he dies. Yay. And then Kraven realizes his own dad is the one who sent the rhino after him, so he gets a bear to kill him. This guy's letting all kinds of animals do his dirty work. He sure is, sir. And then sometime later, he finds out that his brother has gone to that same rhino doctor who turned him into a chameleon man. Oh? Yeah, drop a little sequel bait, maybe for a sequel. This isn't getting a sequel. Okay, well, I'm not removing that. My delete key's broken. Well, okay then. And turns out Kraven's father has left him behind that iconic fur vest that he wears, so now he looks real cool. He puts that on. I thought he hated his father. Yeah, but it looks very cool, so he's gonna wear it now. I guess that makes sense. And so that's about it. What do you think? Well, to be honest, as long as it's better received than Morbius and Madam Web, I'm happy. That shouldn't be too hard to do. No, it should not be.
Oh man.
Hi, this is Ryan George from the thing you just watched.
Incredible work, Ryan George. Incredible work. You did it again. Can't believe it. That's super funny. Holy shit. I knew the movie was bad. I didn't know all that bullshit was in it. So thank you, Ryan George. DJ Cruz says, favorite Lupe album? Got Droga's Wave on vinyl. Whoa, definitely one of the best rappers in the game. Criminally underrated. Drake's still lame though. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, man. I'd have to. It's hard. I don't even remember some of what they were called. I liked Lasers. Whatever the album that had Kick Push on it, that was really good. Some of his new stuff's great though, like Samurai. Dude, that album is fire. Like I really, really like it. Josh Lucas, 20 months already? Crazy. I'm happy to be a Nerd Venture for life. Nerd Vengers for life. Ranch Vengers for life. Community. I appreciate you, Tim. It has been a wild ride. Can you believe it? 20 months? They do kind of fly by, huh? They do kind of fly by, huh? Oh, man. All right, let's kick it for like 5-10 more minutes, guys. I'll go over your stuff in the chat. I think I caught all the super chats today. X 9008. Appreciate that. The Den of Gun. I love it here. Congrats on the baby girl. Thank you, man. let's see here. I think we got all those. So we can just kick it for a little bit. What's on your mind? What do you guys want to yap about for a little bit? Then I got to get on out of here, man. I am a little bit tired. You know, I'm a little burnt out this week. I have some good video ideas, but I kind of want to just get some rest and maybe record some of them tomorrow or like over the weekend. Didn't Shine say that there were new scenes filmed to include more Hulks? Yeah, I think she was talking about Amadeus Cho.
Please enjoy this slide.
I don't know for sure, but I think that's what it was. Ibze says Josh is the next John Campea. I mean, that's high praise. I think John does a great job. A lot of respect for John. I think John and I do it a little bit differently. But, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I got a hair appointment. That baby's going to interrupt the stream. Mark my words. It's possible. It is certainly possible. She could pop out any moment. I mean, she could be out there. I could walk outside of the office and Elisa had the baby and Athena's just out there and she's like, "Hi, Dad." I'm like, holy shit. But I mean, technically possible. You know, technically possible. I'm not a scientist, but I think that could happen. What happened to your Twitter? My original Twitter account was banned. Can't believe it. So I had to make a new one, and I'm slowly growing it back up. Dun, 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 dun. He wants that guy cut? I don't know what that means. What X-Men do you want to see in Secret Wars? Oh, bro, like all of them. I mean, I would really like to see some of the older nostalgic ones, like Ian McKellen Magneto. I'd like to see Patrick Stewart get a little bit more shine. Kelsey Grammer Beast seems cool. But I like all the people in Deadpool and Wolverine. I wouldn't mind Channing Tatum. Yeah, no. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself. Yeah. Watch Daima? I absolutely should. I'm several weeks behind on Daima, but I should give it a shot. I should give it a shot. You know, I've been thinking about a couple of DC videos just based on the trailer, right? I was thinking about doing a video of like who beat Superman up and kind of go through all the potential people in the trailer, talk about who I think beat him up, kind of talk a little bit about spoilers and rumors for the movie. I was also thinking about maybe making a video about how this could quite possibly be the most evil version of Lex Luthor we have ever seen. Because there's a couple things in the trailer that, like, when you really think about them, it's like, damn, dude, Luthor's going hard. And really taking a lot of stuff away from Superman. So I thought some of that could be cool. Missing out while covering the MCU craziness. Yeah, well, no, it's just trying to think of ideas, you know? Just trying to think of ideas. Lex in the suit. That's him. Whoa, that'd be wild. She'll be here on Sunday, possibly. I'm getting a feeling birth around 3 in the afternoon. Damn! Any advice for a southerner driving in gnarly snow? I'm about to head up north and the shit's... Yeah, so a couple of things, man. Don't overcompensate. Like, I think that's the number one thing is when you feel it, like, slide or you feel yourself, like, fishtail. Like, it's going to feel weird because you will know the traction's gone. Don't overcompensate. Try to be chill. You don't have to pump the brakes. That's what anti-lock brakes are. Slam the brakes. Let them... They'll go on and off. That's what the anti-lock is. And don't overcompensate. That's my biggest piece of advice. Yeah, be safe though, man. Look, it is really tricky. I mean, I was born in North Carolina. North Carolina if you have an inch of snow on the ground, it can shut the entire town down because people just do not know how to drive in it, and they'll get into accidents and shit. Yeah, and if you're renting a car up here, you'll probably have all season, or you'll have winter tires on. It's good to get winter tires or all season. Just be careful. Josh, I've played drums for 25 years and would love to play your intro and outro music. Dude, give me a couple beats, man. Give me a couple beats. I would love to have. I've been thinking about that, having some good intro, outro music for these shows. And, you know, we're kind of trying to take these into a more podcasty direction. And I think intro music would be great. Slightly steer the opposite for the slide spin. Yeah, but very slightly. Don't go crazy. Yeah, take it slow. Hey, yeah, take it easy, you know? Take it easy. That's probably the best advice. Sup, Josh? Been on Rivals solo queue to Plat. What? How you been? I haven't played since Monday. I'm looking forward to playing tonight, though. Okay, cool. Yeah, send me a DM. Taco? What? The snow in PA can be quite a challenge. That's true. That is very true. Okay, everybody. Hey, I just want to say again, I appreciate you guys. Super generous today. Crazy generosity. And I appreciate you for sticking with me, even though yesterday, you know, wasn't necessarily the best. I don't think it was the worst, but it wasn't necessarily the best. Appreciate you sticking with me on that. I'm going to continue to try to tweak what I do because I do respect the audience. I do respect the platform. It's not all about my emotions. But at the same time, man, it really didn't hit me well yesterday. So we're probably just going to have that a little bit, you know? There will just be some things that will probably hit me weird. It just is what it is. So appreciate you guys, though. Thank you very much. Community strong. Nerdventure strong. So thank you. I'm going to get on out of here, guys. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Justin, yeah, hit me up.
Josh and Lisa. Here's some soon new baby / Christmas love. Much the roof. I hope Christmas is awesome for you and the family.
Oh, what the hell, Tim? I appreciate it, man. A big old $50 holla from Tim. Here's some soon new baby Christmas love. Much love. Hope Christmas is awesome for you and the fam. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Leave. Oh, man. Another happy landing. Another epic week of nerd venging. And we give it back to you, the people. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves this weekend, man. We'll probably have some content for you. We'll roll into the next week. Christmas week. We'll still do 3 weeks of streaming. Should be real chill. Appreciate you guys. Remember, open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butt.